the duplicate badge I didn't print. The badge shouldn't have existed. Our building's access cards are encoded on the 5th floor in a glass room that smells like cold plastic and ambition. Every badge has a tiny imperfection, a fleck under the laminate, a micro scratch from the printer, that makes it yours the way a scar does. The one I found in Maya's purse on a Wednesday night had my name, my photo, and the wrong imperfection. It was too clean. It was me without the scratch. I would have missed it if the zipper hadn't caught my finger and the purse hadn't yawned at the exact moment curiosity pretended to be tidiness. I only reached in to fish out my apartment key because I'd left mine in the gym locker again, and the doorman was in a mood that made rules feel holy. Instead, the fake me blinked up at the real me, and I forgot how to knock. I put the badge back in her purse and my heart back in my chest, and let myself into our apartment like a guest. Maya was on the balcony, hair tied with the kind of knot that means she's trying to be tidy and failing in a way I prefer. She had the city in her eyes, the part of downtown that keeps building new ways to forget yesterday. On the table, a bowl of green olives, a glass with a lipstick print not hers, a paper napkin folded into a bird. "You're early," she said without turning, "or I'm late." "I found a version of me," I said, "in your purse." She faced me with that precise calm she uses on rooms full of men who have never been interrupted. "Don't make it a paragraph," she said. "Ask the sentence. Why do you have a duplicate of my badge?" "Because I don't like asking favors twice," she said. "And because your company doesn't like the kind of favors I need." I work for Lattice, half cybersecurity consultancy, half crisis management shop, all mirrors. We build systems that keep secrets from wandering, and we sell advice to people who have forgotten which secrets they chose. Maya runs a safety net that isn't cute enough for galas. Legal aid for people whose landlords learned how to turn mold into eviction notices. Grants for clinics that treat street injuries like regular medicine. A little war chest for when developers decide a block would look better without the people who live there. The city keeps trying to make them enemies. We keep trying not to let it. "There's a difference," I said, "between getting around a stubborn receptionist and ghosting past a server room on a Saturday." "Of course there is," she said. "Saturday is easier." I should have been angry. I was about the ease in her voice, about how clean the duplicate looked, about the lipstick print on the rim that belonged to someone who wasn't her and wasn't me. I picked up the napkin bird. It had a small V drawn on its wing. "Whose mouth is this?" I asked, holding up the glass. "Vera," she said. She came up to pitch me on a donor lounge for the new clinic. Her pitch was mostly eyebrow. Vera, the developer's lawyer. Vera, the person who remembers what it felt like to be young and poor and is tired of billing for people who don't, she said. Also, yes, the developer's lawyer. She left the lipstick. She wanted me to notice. And the badge. Maya's mouth did that almost smile that means she'd like to be forgiven in advance. "Vera had it made," she said. "She owes me an apology for 3 years ago when she wrote a clause that made a clinic return funds because a landlord claimed the waiting room counted as residential space. This is her apology." "You took an apology you can use to get into my office." "I took a tool," she said. "The apology was the bird." There are moments when I love her most and moments when I fear what loving her will require of me. This was both. I set the napkin bird down. It looked like a small white witness who would fold under cross-examination. "What do you need from my badge?" I asked. "Not from your badge," she corrected, soft. "From the replica of the man I already trust. There's a portal on your 4th floor network. The one your company uses when a client wants to move documents into a clean room without leaving footprints. Vieira's boss, Victor Raines, the developer who wants to turn the old train sheds into luxury lofts with a heritage gallery made of original bolts glued behind glass, has been shuttling contracts through that portal. NDAs, side letters, sweetheart maintenance deals where the city pays to fix the pipes his men broke. We know he's promising a community clinic on the ground floor if we bless his rezoning. We suspect the clinic will be a showroom. How do you know he's using our portal? I asked. Because I've seen the invoices, she said. Your firm likes to name projects after birds. This one is called Kestrel. I winced. We should stop doing that. You should stop a lot of things, she said. Start with letting me in after hours. And do what? I asked, because sometimes you need logistics to keep from answering the other question. Copy the document indexes, not the documents themselves, she said. Just enough metadata to make denial expensive. I leaned in the doorway of the balcony and watched a tugboat push an outsized barge upriver like a slow argument. And if we get caught? Then we say we were testing your systems, she said. Which would be true, testing if they can hold a city the way they say they can. I held her gaze until it did the thing I love, the flicker that betrays how much she cares about what I think of the weapons she chooses. Then I said the word we use when we're about to tip a building, and hope it falls the right way. Honeysuckle, I said. She exhaled a laugh that wasn't comedy. I hate that word, she said. That's why it works, I said. Lattice has too much security to be dignified and not enough to be safe. The guard on nights reads more than he watches. The cameras work better in daylight because our CFO hates seeing empty rooms in high resolution. The elevators require a badge touch and then look away like gentlemen. The cleanroom corridor makes even honest people sweat. We went at 11:47 p.m., the hour when guilt looks like tiredness. I wore a navy blazer I keep for weddings and minor crimes. Maya wore black because drama finds her flattering. I carried both badges in a pocket where they kissed. On 4, the air smelled like Freon and coffee that never slept. The portal sits behind a frosted panel with a playful sign, Lattice Labs, pure data, no shoes, which is the joke our founder made the year he stopped wearing ties and started growing a beard to make people think he'd softened. Inside the glass room, a wall of screens flickered with transfer logs the way aquariums flicker with fish that don't know there's a glass. A little console waited for someone who believes in clean hands. Your firm is arrogant, Maya whispered. We're busy, I said. Kestrel, she said, pointing. A job number, a client code, a brown rectangle where a name should be. My own system trying to keep me from reading. I authenticated with my real badge and bounced into a sandbox I could pretend wasn't production if anyone woke up. We didn't open any files. We didn't have to. The staging indexes are metadata. Who sent what, when, how many kilobytes in a single breath. Some file names are eulogies to the persons they will erase. Some are boring enough to pass for innocence. I ran the query I would run if I were cleaning a client's mess. Maya took photos of the screen, angle, timestamp, the little reflection of my wrist in the lower corner like a fingerprint nobody could use. Enough, I said after the third set. The more we collect, the more we explain later. The more we return, she said, which is the difference between us. We were almost out when the elevator pinged, and the corridor emptied its light like a throat clearing. Vieira stepped out alone with the kind of smile that expects to be forgiven beforehand. You left your bird, she said to Maya, lifting the napkin crane I'd set by our door. I came to return it. You came to see if we were brave, Maya said. I came to see if he was, Vera said, and looked at me the way you look at a lock you're not sure you can pick. What exactly is he to you? I asked, because sometimes jealousy is a better screwdriver than pride. The only person I know who can keep up with her without needing to win, Vera said, which is either the best thing anyone said about me or the worst, depending on the weather. She followed us into the glass room and watched me watch my company betray the pretense of neutrality. Raines thinks metadata is harmless, she said. He's counting on the city's attention span. He's counting on our fatigue. He's not counting on ours, Maya said. Vera set the bird on the console, its paper wing touching a strip of black tape that ran under the keyboard like a little road. He's not counting on your affection either, she said quietly. He doesn't understand that it makes you more dangerous. Back home, we ate toast like victors too tired to gloat. Maya sent the photos to a burner email that forwards to a city reporter who carries more truth than her editors would like, and to a council aide who hates being lied to in the passive voice. We didn't write a manifesto. We didn't tweet. We put metadata in the river and waited for plumbing to do what plumbing does. By 10 the next morning, our phones were fidgety with alerts. A leak appeared, careful, precise, unattributed. Side agreements raise questions about developer subsidy. The headline did what good headlines do. Refused to decide for you, made you do the thinking, made you feel complicit when you didn't. By noon, Raines issued a statement about process and misunderstandings, and a different outlet reported that the clinic was still central to community benefits, which is how sharks smile. By 2, Lattice's general counsel forwarded me the article with a single question mark, which is corporate for "we will discuss," which is human for "how good is your story." At 4, my boss called me into a conference room that had been designed by someone who thinks glass is honesty. She closed the door and sat, hands folded like origami. "Tell me I don't have to fire our best crisis manager for creating a crisis," she said. "You don't," I said. "You have to decide whether you want to be part of the problem." "Spare me the grace notes," she said. "Did you access client data?" "Metadata," I said. "From our own indexes, no files, no content, a sanity check." "For who?" "For the city," I said, "and for myself." She watched me for a long moment that rearranged my insides. "You're too good at this job," she said finally, "and I don't mean the technical parts." She rubbed her forehead like she was erasing a thought. "I can't defend what I don't see, so I won't look, but if you ever make me see it." "You'll do the right thing," I said. "I'll hire your replacement," she said, and unlocked the door. At 6, the council chair postponed the rezoning hearing pending clarification. At 8, Raines texted me from a number I didn't know. "Nice work," it read. "Come have a drink." I threw my phone onto the sofa with a gentleness I didn't feel. Maya arrived with rain on her, as if weather is a perfume. She dropped her purse and walked straight to me and kissed me like the period at the end of a sentence that had gone on too long. "We're not done," she said against my mouth. "We're never done," I said. We undressed without etiquette. We've learned the shapes of each other's urgency the way you learn the shapes of letters in a language you didn't think you'd need. She climbed onto my lap and took what she needed and gave what she wanted. It wasn't a pretty scene. It was a precise one. When she kept her palm flat on my chest like she was holding me in place for something more important, I understood. This is what we put at risk when we go to war with polite men. After, we lay in the cooling. The city pressed its light against our window like a neighbor who knows too much but likes us anyway. "He'll come at you," she said. "Raines, he'll come with gossip and invoices." "Let him," I said. "We have shoes." She laughed, The low one that means she's tired of being noble. Vera is a problem, she said. For him or for us? I asked. She thought about it. Yes, she said. Vera texted at midnight. He's going to leak that you were in the building last night. He wants to make it romantic. He thinks romance ruins women. He forgets that it ruins men first. Tell him we were, Maya replied from my phone, and that it was. The next morning, a blog that specializes in rumors about people with expense accounts posted a grainy camera still of two silhouettes in a glass room at 11:59. The caption contained the words scandal and activist and hacker. The comments were goldfish. Vera sent the napkin bird again, this time as a photo, with the wing lit like a confession. The reporter who carries more truth than her editors called me and asked if I had comment. I told her the story I could tell. Metadata, timing, clinic promises, side letters shaped like knives. She didn't ask about the duplicate badge. She asked about the river. Do you think the city is tired enough to be brave? She said. I think it's jealous, I said, of all the other cities that get to start over every fire. At the rescheduled hearing, Rains wore contrition like a borrowed tie. Vera sat behind him, eyes forward, mouth a line that could hold a bridge. Maya sat to my left, fingers threading mine under the table like a wire carrying a current nobody could see. I testified about best practices for clean rooms and worst practices for democracy. I was careful. I used words like audit and retain. Maya was not careful. She used words like home and harm and heat. The aide who hates being lied to and the passive voice produced a copy of a maintenance rider that used the phrase acts of God in a way that made God look like a contractor. We won the postponement that day, which is the city's way of saying yes without saying yes. A month later, Rains announced a smaller plan with a clinic run by people we trust and a maintenance schedule the city would enforce with more than emails. It wasn't victory. It was survival. We'll take it. The duplicate badge lived in Maya's purse for another week, until she handed it back to Vera in a corridor that smelled like floor wax and expensive regret. Keep it, Vera said. If not for him, for me. I don't want you in my purse, Maya said. I want you in the room when it matters. Then invite me, Vera said, and stop pretending you don't like me. Maya's mouth did a thing I love, refused to be dishonest for the sake of comfort. I don't like you, she said. I need you. That's better, Vera said and walked away. At home, I taped the fake badge to the inside of the kitchen drawer where we keep the spare keys and the truths we prefer not to trip over. Every time I open it for a corkscrew or a paperclip, it looks back at me with the dead grin of a photograph. I don't mind. It reminds me that there are versions of me I didn't print that still get things done. When I forget why we risk this much, I think about the elevator ping at 11:47, the smell of Freon and courage, the way Maya's hand studied the back of my neck as if it were reading a plan, the way the city leaned in as if it wanted to hear us say the word. Honeysuckle, ridiculous, and hours. A password for telling the truth when the truth would rather wait. We keep saying it. The door keeps opening. We keep walking through.